Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yami, and if you couldn't tell from my name, I like anime. I grew up with anime starting with shows that aired on Cartoon Network, like Pokemon and Bakugan. But I really didn't start watching anime until about 2010, 2011. This was around the time that I got my first laptop, and it was my first introduction to the internet. I will admit though, I was quite the degenerate. The first anime I actually watched to completion was a rom-com that was on the homepage of some random anime site that streamed anime at 240p. Motto to Loveru. And for those of you that know what this is, let me explain. I will say there are spoilers here on out, so if you were interested in watching the series, I would suggest clicking off the video. Now, I was around like 8 or 9 years old, and at this point I've already watched a handful of anime, and I thought that plot was normal. Which, honestly, it is pretty normal in anime. So all of the unrealistic falls and the bizarre scenarios were just normal to me. One key thing, though, that really kept me watching was the characters. Especially this one character who was an assassin. Her name was Golden Darkness, or Yami for short. I immediately fell in love with her, as she was this cold and mysterious character, and although her goal is to kill Rito, she actually avoids killing him, because she knows that if her target is terminated, she would have to leave Earth. And that's another thing I forgot to mention. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, of aliens. After finishing Moto, I actually went back and watched the first season of To Loveru. I actually ended up binging it in a few days, and my parents would always walk in at the wrong time. However, any time in this anime is the wrong time.
Yo, what are you doing in there?
Nothing! I also ended up reading the manga, and one thing I really enjoyed was actually the world building. That's really the only thing it has going for it. There's not really a main plot or any character development, just a lot of bizarre scenarios and bizarre characters. And on the topic of bizarre, one of the royal guards, Zastin, is actually voiced by Dio. At the time of watching this series, I didn't know this because I never watched JoJo or knew anything about JoJo. But in retrospect, this is pretty cool. Out of all the alien races, the one that gets the most attention is the Devolukian race. They look human, they have tails, and they have superpowers. These powers range from high IQ, super strength, and that one power from Sky High that everyone thought was weak but saved the entire world. Do you remember the plant girl's name? Yeah, me neither. Lala's sister, Nana, was able to speak to animals. It's probably the coolest power in the entire anime, but I always found her character annoying. I also really found Momo annoying, and I wish Lala could have been a better character. The way they portray her is that she's an inventor, but also an airhead. She would always make tech that would backfire, and then be like, whoops! Didn't mean for that to happen. I just realized I have yet to explain any of the quote-unquote plot. I'm going to try to explain the plot, but I haven't watched this anime for almost 6 years. 2015 was a long time ago. For the record, I was around 13 at the time. Without further ado, here goes. A high school boy named Yuki Rito really likes his childhood friend Haruna. He's always wanted to confess his feelings, but he's too worried that he's going to ruin his friendship with her. So whenever he attempts to confess his feelings, he ends up chickening out, or something always goes wrong. Then one day, a pink-haired lady just teleports naked into his bathtub. Then she disappears for a minute, and then he thinks he's crazy, but then he goes to his room and she's sitting in his room. One chase scene and a misunderstanding later, he's engaged to an alien who just so happens to be royalty to the family that governs the entire galaxy. Throughout the entirety of the first season, other alien princes decide to show up and try to win Lala over. And either something goes wrong or Rito just clutches up, which is sometimes very stupid because he's trying to remove himself from the engagement, but at the same time he catches feelings. But he still has feelings for Haruna. One of the coolest characters that actually show up for Lala is one named Ren. He's this white-haired character that actually looks very human. There's no extra features like a tail or horns or anything. But he tries to become rank 1 man, and by the end of the episode, he does. And then he sneezes. Ren's race is a Memorzian, and they have 2 personalities inside of them. And due to Earth's atmosphere, when they sneeze, they get a sex change.
連度のはくしゃみをすると女の子になっちゃう得意体質だったのです。へえ、残念。さすがに女 の子に男らしいとは言えないよね。
That's probably my favorite episode from the first season. The art is actually so bad compared to any of the other seasons, and the anime actually doesn't follow the manga very well until the second season. The opening though? Each season's opening is such a banger, especially Darkness's. Before recording any of these lines, I went back and listened to all of the openings and they were just so good. I actually hated Darkness when it came out. Darkness, both the anime and manga, follow Yami more closely, but ruin the character for me. Like, yeah, the plot gets more serious, but then there's titties in your face every 10 seconds. Some of you may enjoy that, but I think Douchebag Chocolat put it best.
It would be almost too easy for me to tell you what you're going to get with a series such as this. In fact, it's so easy, I'm gonna do it. It's unfulfilling porn.
So throughout the entirety of at least the second season, Nemesis brings up the fact that Yami has something called darkness inside of her, and once it's released, it removes all of her limits. She's really supposed to become this unstoppable assassin, however... Yeah, I don't get what happened either. Like, I'm probably asking too much from a harem anime, but could you imagine how cool it would have been to see just like a large-scale fight as opposed to titties being sucked? It also doesn't help that all of these characters are minors, and that's just a problem with anime in general. There are so many good anime that don't have fan service in it. I get why harem anime has fan service, but why are so many popular ones just based on minors? A lot of people will say that they're animated so it doesn't matter, but I really think it does because it's the idea of it. Like, if they're not real, why not just make them 18? What's stopping you from making them adults? But that's another topic of discussion. I wanted to make a section about the manga, since the manga has a lot of cool chapters, but I think more people just watch the anime, so it's just easier to talk about it. Anyways, that's really going to be it for this video. I'll probably make more videos on anime. I just really wanted to make a video on one of the first experiences I ever had with anime and how strange it was. Anyways, as always, have a happy Hanukkah.